Hello, everybody, and welcome to another amazing episode of Sphere of Success. And this is where we look at brilliant business people who have undergone and overcome adversity and challenge to thrive not only in their businesses, but also themselves as well. Because it's all right having a successful business and you've gone through challenge, but if you yourself, and I've been there, you think, oh my gosh, I can't cope with this. That's why I had a nervous breakdown. It's always better to be authentically okay in ourselves as well, having come through that challenge. And today, Lynne Hughes, my wonderful serial entrepreneur guest, has been through more challenges and adversity than you can shake a stick at, bless her. She is just one of life's brilliantly passionate, wonderfully warm-hearted people. As I say, she speaks with the voice of much experience in the department of going through adversity and challenge to thrive on the other side. So, Lynne, it's lovely to have you with us.
Oh, hi, Deborah. Thank you so much. Yet again, it's lovely to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure, darling. And I wondered if you could take us a hop, skip, and a jump through your history so that actually people can see actually what you've had to deal with, natural disasters and all, to be able to come to where you are today.
Okay, well, gosh, where do I start? Crikey. Okay, so I think really I actually can't believe I'm here today in the shape and form that I am because I have had to deal with so much. I mean, first of all, just growing up from a very young age, I had terrible. I had parents. Well, they were fabulous, but unfortunately, they were very violent. I had to put up with an awful lot of things that I didn't want to see when I was very young. But I think that sort of made me go into myself a little bit, but only temporarily because generally my personality is out there. But I think uh, growing up, we had a hotel and restaurant and everything, and we lost that unfortunately after 14 years. It was very successful, but it was my parents. I then got married and then I got divorced and I had to get over that. And then I had a child and I brought my child up on my own, which to be honest, I was probably the best years of my life. It was the most wonderful time. I've got the best memories, and I was young and fit and strong, and it was a lovely time. But the bad times sort of started coming when I started to get into business really. This business comes with a lot of problems. I mean, it comes with a lot of success, but it doesn't come easy. Anybody that wants to start a business or needs to start thinking about going into business, there's an awful lot you have to think about. And it's about whether or not you yourself can actually cope with that adversity. So I would love to point out what's happened to me. And my first point of call after having my child was I'd started with a salon. I started with a small salon, and it was a hairdressing salon, obviously, and then we had nails and we had beauty and we added a gym, and it got really big. And we had that salon for 5 years. I had a business partner as well at the time. Unfortunately, we could no longer work together. Bad things happened. There was money going missing, that sort of thing. And I said to her, look, I can't stay here anymore. One of us has got to go. And she said, well, I'm not going anywhere. So I said, well, you have the business and you take the debt as well. And then I'm gone. So I left that business, which absolutely bawled my eyes out because it was such a successful salon. And I had a lot of clients and a lot of following. But I walked away from it and I thought, I don't care. My mental health is more important because I was suffering a form of abuse, really, mental abuse, by people talking about me behind my back, doing things that weren't lawful. And, it was just putting a bad impression on what my character is because I'm a good person, really. I'm a good person. And I never look for the bad in people, although I tend to come across it. I must attract it. Goodness knows how, but I must attract it. They must go, oh, there she is. Let's go and have a go at that one. But I left that salon, and then what happens as suddenly the Lord God shone upon me, and suddenly there was another salon for me to walk in. And what was a blessing was that all my customers, all my staff followed me from that salon to my new salon. I started up a new salon, and it was great. It was fabulous again. I could only stay there for 2 or 3 years because the council were planning to knock it down for an arcade that was going to be put up there. So that was fine. And within that time, I had a love affair, if you like, it was a married man who eventually left his wife. But it was a very impactful relationship on me. It was someone that really, looked after me, but at the same time, I was sort of a little bit captured under all of that safety, if you like. And what happened with that relationship, which anybody knows in a love relationship, if you like, is that the trauma that you leave when you leave that relationship, the trauma and the come down from that is something that we all are saddened with and we have to get over. So I had to deal with that. But he was a very profound gentleman in the town, and everybody knew him, so everybody knew me. And so I had to deal with that impact of being talked about behind my back. Oh, there she is. Oh, look, she's not with them anymore, and blah blah blah, and all this. And so I had to put up with that humility and that humiliation of not being that person anymore. And it reminded me of when I was young, because I also had the same humiliation of everybody in the town knowing about my parents fighting. And I used to have to deal with that impact of humiliation, and everybody knows but my parents are fighting, and it was embarrassing. And it was not what you would portray on the outside, but on the inside this pain is going on. And so I suddenly found myself having to deal with that really again. And I overcame it somehow. I don't know. I managed to get a restaurant. I thought, right, I'm going to buy a restaurant. I managed to buy a restaurant, go back to what I grew up with, really. I suppose I was going back to my roots. So I found a restaurant. I bought the restaurant. It was struggling, this restaurant. So I went in there for 2 or 3 weeks and helped the guy out to find out how it's running. And I thought, you know what, I can turn this place around. And that helped me massively, because it gave me a little bit of my youth back, of what I remember and what I grew up with. And I bought the restaurant. So I bought the restaurant while I was getting over this relationship. And of course, obviously, because he was quite well known in the town and I was well known, suddenly everybody knew I had this restaurant. and I had this restaurant. So I was looking for staff, and I was putting adverts out there looking for staff, and who comes along but a fabulous chef. I was looking for chefs. And we laughed about the whole part that he happened to know my ex-partner, who happened to be his uncle's best friend. And it was quite bizarre. So my ex-partner and his uncle were best friends, which we thought was hysterical. So anyway, we laughed so much about that we started to work together, and we thought, come on, we've got something to prove, let's get this show on the road. And we did. And we started with that restaurant, and it was going really, really well. We had amazing people. We had a lot of big lawyers, a lot of big bankers, a lot of personalities from TV, some celebrities. And we had these people come and dine with us and absolutely love it. And of course, obviously, being brought up in the hospitality industry, I completely bounced right back into that character, right into that persona of that person that goes, hi, how are you? And suddenly I found me back again. And it was probably the best thing I could have done to actually get over that stigma that I was in of, you know, oh, everybody's talking about me, everybody knows what's going on. But it was probably the best thing I did, because the restaurant was hugely entertaining and busy after that. Of course, everybody wanted to be a part of the show as well. You know, come on in, darling, come on in, sweetie, you know. And so we had the most amazing people. We had most of the Southwest TV people at that was back in the day a little bit then. People on the radio, some big TV personalities, and you know, we got a real name for ourselves. So it was doing really, really well. And after about 18 months, I think it was, we decided that we were going to sell the restaurant, or I decided I was going to sell the restaurant. And I sold the restaurant and made some lovely money from that. And I thought, right, what are we going to do now? And by this time, we'd formed a really lovely relationship, because we were both doing the same thing. We were both trying to prove, he was trying to prove to his uncle, and I was trying to prove to myself that we were all right, that we could go on our own. And, you know, we weren't going to let any man put us down, if you like. And we were going to stand up to whatever was coming forwards, and we were going to make the best of it. So we moved from Plymouth to, and this is the funniest story, really. We moved from Plymouth to Torquay, and we opened a bar there that was right on the beach. Fabulous place. And we redecorated it, and we turned it into a beautiful tapas bar, like a bar, it was Bar Carver it was called. And it was a tapas bar, and it was right opposite the beach, and it was fabulous. We had all different coloured chandeliers, beautiful red velvet sofas. It was really colourful, very bohemian, if you like, as well, but sparkly. And we thought, right, we'd start this restaurant. So off we go. We start the restaurant. It's hugely successful. And who's to know it, but then all the restaurants and all the bar owners that were in Plymouth started to open up in our town. They followed us. You know, I don't know, what is that? Is that saying, look, oh my God, she's gone to Torquay, so we need to go follow, you know? Well, I really don't know. So anyway, they did, and some big people as well that had big restaurants and bars, and they came and opened in Torquay. And behold it or not, so along came the ex doing his number in the Bay. So I won't talk about that too much, but right now it's that it was hysterical. We were hysterical, but all of a sudden, you know, who can believe it? We had our backs. The back of the restaurant was towards a cliff, so we were right on the edge of a cliff. Well, on the front of a cliff. And lo and behold, the cliff started to fall down. I mean, it's been there from, I don't know, from 1920s. It's got huge hotels and restaurants that have been along that road since day dot, you know. And why now should the cliff start falling down? We couldn't believe it. And the cliff tumbled down. Great big boulders came down right across the road. And there was only one road into the town. Otherwise, you had to go all the way around the back, hairpin bends, and you know, it wasn't a way in, and it was a holiday town. So everybody was coming in on the same road, and no one could get into that town. No one could get into that town. And not only our business, but all the town fell down. And there were grown men crying at meetings saying, this is our 30 years that we've been here. Our businesses are destroyed. And it destroyed our business. And we lost so much money in that business. And it was unbelievable how that happened. But after getting over growing up and all that adversity, and then having to be put into a town where everybody knows what you're doing, and knowing that he's gone back to his wife, if you like, and going putting up with that adversity and humiliation, and then moving away from there, and then everybody following you, and then the cliff coming down, and you lose your business. It's like, why? You know, and how do you cope with that significance? Why is that happening? So we lost everything. We lost an awful lot of money. It was a terrible time, and it hit the whole town. It wasn't just us. Everybody suffered. And that was another adversity that we had to put up with. So now I had to start thinking about how are we going to carry on. You know, we had no money. We were living very poorly at this point. We'd gone from the top to the bottom. I know I started off from very young. I call it from rags to riches. I call it from riches to rags to riches. And from sort of getting ourselves back together again, we were destroyed. We'd lost so much, and we had to leave there as well, leave that town, because the town was completely, everybody was suffering, everybody was in a terrible state. And we left there and then opened another bar. We found a bar actually where somebody wanted us to run it. So we opened that. Wow, the same thing happened. It was fabulous. We had great customers again. It was really busy. It was well known in the town. It was a very small village. And boom, it had to close down. The brewery had to say, we have got to take it off you. I'm sorry. It's the brewery's fault. They had to take it away from us. Yet again, we were laid there again. So eventually, I thought, you know, I've just got to get away from here. And we thought, we'll go to London, we'll go and see what's happening in London, just get away from everywhere, everyone we knew, just a fresh start. When I got to London, obviously we had no money. I had no home. We had to start from scratch. And I don't know how these things happen, but I got in with the wrong people. I got in with people that were working with the Cray twins years ago. I got in with really like a mobster lot. I don't know where they came from, but when you're down, and this is something people have to understand, when you're down, you're preyed upon by people who can use you. And unfortunately, they saw me coming probably, and I was desperate to earn some kind of an income. And they were doing all sorts of things with me. I actually thought that they weren't just mobsters. I actually thought they were part of the law, which I still to this day don't really know, but I think they were. But I had to be put through an anguished time of, they were teaching me all sorts of things, you know, hiding drugs in my flat and preparing drugs on my kitchen table. And I was thinking, well, I'm all right, because I'm sure they're police. I'm sure they're the law, really. It can't, this sort of thing can't go on. This sort of thing can't happen. And I ended up being shown how to take money out of all sorts of places. And I thought, what on earth is going on? Who are these people that actually are the underworld, part of the underworld that goes on? And it's organized crime, really organized. And I got myself into a lot of trouble. And eventually we had to leave London because it was just a terrible place. Really affected my mental health. We were struggling, and people like that don't want to let you go, because they think, you know, we can use you, we can use your personality, you look like a good girl, you're perfect for what we need you to do. But we left there and came back down to Plymouth again, and trying to find somewhere to live. And of course I had to face people in Plymouth of having such a great time there and a great time in Torquay, and losing that and coming back to Plymouth with nothing, with mental health problems now, because I'd been exposed to London and its weird underground world, and we had nothing, and we had to restart again. And getting over adversity is a terrible thing. And I've found that the one thing that I've had to cope with more than anything is the people talking about what you were and what you are now. That continual flow of antagonistic behavior, of being looked down at as if you're no good anymore. That's humiliating. You're not that person that has been successful in your own right as well. You know, you're someone who's now down on the ground, and we we sort of hid it for a little while. We hid for a little while. I mean, he was obviously living with his family, and I had my own little place by then. Beautiful friend in the business world helped me with a flat, lovely lady, and she helped me find somewhere to live. And we sort of held ourselves together then. We took this time to think about ourselves and think about what we were going to do and where we were going to go, because by this time we were a team now. You know, we were a real team, and we knew that we could move mountains together. We were both had great personalities. We were both very funny. We were both extroverts in our own way, and we were skilled at what we did. So the team stuck together, and we did. But we took that time then to slowly compensate about where we were going, what we were doing. And we were damaged. We didn't realize how damaged we were. We'd been mentally destroyed, really. When people take things away from you for no reason, like the cliff coming down, you know, is that to me is being taken away from you. That's not your doing. That's something outside, a stronger thing outside. And then leaving London and all those people trying to take advantage of you and bringing out the worst in you. And I'm thinking, that's, you know, that's not us, that's not me. But getting over adversity and really then getting the energy together and the foresight to start yet another business. And that's what we did. We started up another business. We managed to the part of the family actually helped fund it hugely. They sold a property and we bought the kitchen. This is when we started HerbiT, and we thought, what are we going to do? We're going to actually, let's do a product. We haven't got the energy or the mental health capacity to dealing with people all the time at such an energetic level. So we started a product, and so many things had happened really over time. I mean, that's an abundance of things that had happened, but those big, huge things were very poignant to me in my life, because it was from going back to my childhood of that people looking down at you and talking about you, and that humiliation is what I've had to deal with. Humiliating circumstances all the time. And we started a new business, and we found strength in that. And along came HerbiT. We made our kitchen. We made our new product. It was fabulous. We started winning awards. We were selling to Ocado. We were selling to the universities. And what happens? What happens outside influences? Again, COVID hit. Lockdown. No one could go out of their homes. No one could work. No one could do anything. So we lost everything that we had built up over the last 2-3 years of that time, developing our business, costing thousands of pounds to send it to the laboratory, to get the nutrition and the microbes sorted and the barcodes, which all cost so much money. We lost it through COVID. Absolutely fell to the ground again. It was soul destroying. Absolutely soul destroying. Unbelievable. And unfortunately, we slipped through the net. Lots of businesses that had been going for many years had bounce back loans, but because we'd just started trading, we slipped through the net. There was no money for us. What we had put in, we had lost again. To lose money that so many times over and over again is like, where do you find the energy? Where do you find that energy to pick yourself up and get up and go again? And obviously you and everybody else knows about COVID and how it affected all the businesses, especially small businesses. And small businesses are very close to my heart, which comes later. But COVID destroyed so many people and so many people's lives and so many businesses that, you know, that's another thing you have to deal with, another thing that you have to sit and contemplate with yourself and think, how can I get the energy to get up and go again? you know, by this time the years are rolling by, you know, and it takes a long time to overcome things. You can't just overcome it in a couple of weeks. It takes a year or two to actually chat to yourself and think, you know, I need time and on my own, and I need peace and quiet, and I need calm, and you know, it takes a long time. So this again affected us massively. I mean, it's just destroyed us after losing, and we were winning awards. You know, we would have been rolling by now if that hadn't have happened.
Yeah, Lynn,
So
can I just say here, and well,
yeah.
thank you for sharing. First of all, my heart is bursting open for you. We've both gone through the ringer, but my goodness me, you are a champion, an absolute champion, because you will be back on this podcast because we have a wealth of discussion to have with you. One thing I would say is your indomitable spirit, your trust that you will be okay, that you will be looked after by the universe, your higher power, the being that you know you are, whatever anybody wants to believe. And this is what I say to people, because you are now making a massive success again. And this time I have every belief that this will now continue, because I believe that these things are horrendous that we have to go through. But sometimes there is a core lesson that we can learn, and when these things happen in a pattern, and there's a pattern between that humility, losing it, humility, where you are, in a way, I was talking to somebody yesterday, a dear friend, and I said, it's all part of the journey. And ultimately they said, oh, well, what I wanted in this year hasn't happened. I said, you're talking about part of a year. We're talking about millennia here. Time isn't linear. If one thing I could give to somebody who's listening here, who wants things to happen now, and I can appreciate that, money. If you haven't got any money, you need it, and you need it now. But if we can just take that step back and allow everything to come in so that we can manifest in a way which brings the good things to us. It's very difficult to do, believe me. I had a breakdown trying to do it. But once you do get into that flow, and I believe now with HerbiT and the dried products that you have, you've got a luxury holiday let business, which is going well. We're now talking about the podcasting side of things because your story is amazing. People and circumstances, I believe, are coming into our lives, your life, my life, and our listeners' lives, that are going to be the people that are going to be transformational, and that there is always hope. Right until our last breath, there is always hope. And what I say to anybody out there, and I've been there, Lynn has been there numerous times, we've both been through the ringer, and you think, really? Could this actually happen again? Well, I tell you what, anybody that's thinking, I can't keep on with this, I'm going to do something silly, just ring me, just be in touch. I don't judge, I'm completely confidential, but ultimately, we've been through it. We understand. We might be different to you, but ultimately we know. And I was asked over and over again in business when I was going through my nervous breakdown, how are you? And I go, I'm fine. And I was so not fine. It was like a black comedy. And actually, you know what? If only I'd have had something where I thought I can go here. There are sort of Samaritans. There could be a good friend. There could be somebody in business that you know, that you think I can trust them. Please, please, please reach out and speak to somebody, because there is help. And you're giving a gift to somebody to be able to let them know that they can help. And actually, people love to do that. And you can, as you were mentioning, people along your path who stepped in like angels, the angels that they were, to help you have a roof over your head, get you started again, believe in you. Whatever phase of your life you're in, we believe in you. I believe in you. I love you, because it's so raw to me what you've just told us, Lynn. And that's why I just wanted to just interject, because if it's happened to us, we're not the only people out there. It's happening to so many people, especially now. Always, it's going to happen. Just reach out. Lynn, I know you're doing a hugely successful business, and we will come back to you, and we will be having you again. And it's called HerbiT. It's absolutely brilliant. Look at it online. Get in touch with Lynn. She'll give you her details so that you can have a chat. But what I'd love to hear from you, Lynne, is what does success mean to you?
Success means to me is, it's not about me. It's not about what I can achieve. It's about what you can offer other people. I think everything that I have done in my life has always been to make other people feel loved and wanted and needed and appreciated. And I think success for me, which is obviously with my future businesses as well, is that, you know, it's having your credibility looked at and appreciated. Success to me is to be able to do something that can make a difference to everyone else, can actually help other people and inspire other people to move forwards and to fight, because it is a fight that we're fighting, but you can do it. And success to me is to let people know that I will help as much as I can in my future businesses now to support local business, small business, and the future of communities to grow and grow. Because bugger the supermarkets. Sorry about that.
Don't worry.
But, you know, get rid of the supermarkets. They are so destroying. Bring back in the small local community product of our markets and our local business. And that to me is success, is to let other people have the chance to enjoy their own adversity in making their own way through the world. Give them that opportunity. That's success to me. It's nothing to do with what I'm doing. Success to me is to be able to help, provide, promote, and offer the ability for other people to be able to lift themselves up.
Wonderful. Yes, because you know what? Nobody can do it for us. We
Nope.
have to lift ourselves up. We can have the support and the wonderful love of our families or our communities or our friendships or even our businesses and our network. But the only people that are going to do it are us as individuals. And we're people who are born survivors. And sometimes I think that we are forged in the fire for a reason.
Mm.
I do actually believe that the strength of purpose that people who've gone through, I mean, mine is a drop in the ocean in comparison to what other people have been through. The amount of suffering that there is in the world is both heart-wrenching and just wrong. But on an everyday level, I do believe that being forged in the fire gives us superpowers with which we can serve others and help others. But when it all comes down to the crux of it, the only person that is going to bring ourselves out of the challenge and adversity, the mindset of lack, victimhood, woe is me. And I'm not saying that I've not felt that, because for the large majority of my life, I have. But the lesson to be learned is that it's the experience, it's that how much more can I give now that I know that I've had that experience and that it hasn't destroyed me, that I am open-hearted, that I can love, that I can give sincerely to others and to myself. And I know what compassion is, and I don't judge, or as I don't judge as much as I used to, and that's something I'm working on. And you know what? I can forgive. I can forgive the circumstance. I can forgive the perpetrators. Doesn't mean to say it's right. Absolutely, completely different thing. But that forgiveness for me is liberating. And it's just like, well, I'm here for the reason that I'm meant to be here, having had what has happened, because it did. And it's not going to go away, just me pretending that it shouldn't have. In fact, that's what comes up at night in those small hours that makes me sweat at night. It's perhaps projecting into the future, and it's going back into the past rather than being right now. And from that perspective, and I think we are in alignment here that with that, Lynne, is that we go with the present and we keep going and we keep going with love in our hearts and joy and wonderment of what will come, because we don't know. And that's the beauty of it all. We don't know what's around the corner. And it's all a wonderful, wonderful way of experiencing life. And you know what? If I'm absolutely honest, with the abuse, the humiliation, the striving, the struggle, the failure, I wouldn't have it any other way, because I would not be here today as the person that I am, speaking to you and actually standing in my truth and loving myself, warts and all, and growing and developing as a person. So, Lynne, it's been an inspiration, an absolute joy to have you. How can people get hold of you?
Well, the best way to get hold of me, if anybody does want to get hold of me, my telephone number is 07521 133 434, or my email address, which is Hughes Lynne, as you can see, my name spelt with an E on the end, HughesLynne296@gmail.com. And obviously our website is herbit.uk, and you'll find all my information in there. But please get in touch. Please do.
Perfect. And everything will be on the show notes as well, just in case you didn't catch that. But thank you, Lynne, and everybody out there. I know I always say this, but if times are getting too much and you need somebody to reach out to, I'm always here, confidential, no judgment, good listener. I'm not a counselor, I'm not a therapist, but I am somebody who's had a pretty big spoonful of experience. So yeah, it would be welcome to speak with you. And wishing everybody well, every success possible for this week and the weeks to come. And we'll speak to you very soon. Bye bye now.
Bye.